Hey legends, welcome along to Here's Rodder's Reviews. I'm your host, Rodney Stewart, and we're getting into our little recommendation for a show that you need to watch. And this one is from the 1980s. Once again, this is a little gem called Street Hawk. Now, this series, back in the day, it seemed to last forever. It seemed to be always on. Like, I had the weirdest conversation with a guy one time whenever I was talking about it on Facebook. I had posted it, we were sitting watching it, and this guy asked how many episodes of that show is there, and I'm like, there's a grand total of 13 episodes of Street Hawk, and I couldn't believe it, and he couldn't believe it. We grew up whenever this was going. I was born in 1979. This was aired in 1985. Lasted for one season, and I've got no idea why it didn't go any further than the 13 episodes, but it was brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. Essentially, this show starts off like most of the 80s shows did. Like, it has similar kind of concept, like Knight Rider and that sort of thing. You had all these shows where there'd be like a vehicle involved with, like, would be as much the star of the show as the actual people in there, and the vehicle in this one was Street Hawk, which was a top secret government mission, essentially a souped up motorbike, well, scrambler more or less, and it was designed to combat urban crime. And the guy that designed this bike was Norman Turtle, played by Joe Rigobuto. I hope I've pronounced his name properly. And he's trying to find the perfect guy to test this prototype motorcycle. And he enlists Jesse Mock, played by Rex Smith, who has been injured in the line of duty, and he's got a messed up leg, and he's been kind of not demoted, but he's been put on the desk duty. He's a police officer, and because of his injury, he's on desk duty. So during the day, he's working as this police officer, and at night, he's testing Street Hawk. And of course, Street Hawk starts to take out criminals and fight for justice throughout the series, and the police have got no idea who Street Hawk is, and you've got the captain of the police, played by Richard Venture, who is always going crazy trying to work out who Street Hawk is, and he wants him taken off the street. He's a menace to society, but he doesn't know that Street Hawk is actually always within touching distance of him. Jesse Mock works for him. Jeannie Wilson is in here as Rachel Adams. She's his partner, police partner, and the one that's always kind of wondering where he's disappearing off to, sort of deal. The show is absolutely brilliant. Again, absolutely no idea why the heck this didn't go the distance. The opening pilot of the episode, the main villain in there is none other than Christopher Lloyd, Doc Brown himself, as the villain in the opening episode. And absolutely fantastic. And just as I'm talking about people that are in this, episode 2, just bring it up on my phone here, is called A Second Self. The reason this episode here in particular is so imprinted in my mind is the fact that we actually, one episode that we had recorded off television back in the day on the video recorder was A Second Self, and yes, George Clooney was in this episode, and something tells me that this was his first ever, well, I don't want to say first ever acting gig, but I think it was his first. Let me just look up the trivia on IMDb. It's here. George Clooney screen tested for the role of Jesse Mack. I didn't know that there. He went for the lead in the series, didn't get it. Clooney was creator Robert Walterstoff's first choice, but ABC did not want him. That's interesting. But something's telling me, I think that at this point he had only done this episode of television, and I think he had maybe done Attack of the Killer Tomatoes as well. For some weird reason, I have got that in the back of my mind. George Clooney and Attack of the Killer Tomatoes is a cheesy old horror movie from back in the day. I'm going to have to look that up at some point, but not right now because it's not germane to the situation, and the Germans have got nothing to do with it. If you get that joke, you're an absolute legend. Anyway, Street Hawk, absolutely fantastic. 1985. Great little series that I've got absolutely, again, no clue why it was never renewed for a second season, but absolutely fantastic. And it's only, as I say, 13 episode run, so you could quite easily binge this on a weekend. Absolutely fantastic. I could not recommend this series higher. The visual effects in it are mostly practical. The only thing visually, the motorbike had like rockets at one point. There was a machine gun attached to it. It did have, I was going to say Super Pursuit mode, but Super Pursuit mode was actually Knight Rider. It had, what was it? It's going to come to me. Come on. Hyperthrust. That's it. Street Hawk had the ability to use Hyperthrust, which was actually a computer program using a map of the city and terrain around LA, and if Street Hawk needed to get somewhere quick, Street Hawk was controlled by Norman from like a headquarters, and there's all these massive computers that just fill the room, which these days would probably be your average iPhone, but back in the day, all these huge computers. And Jesse would be out on Street Hawk, and they would set up Hyperthrust. There'd be a countdown in the command center, and all Jesse had to do was hold the bike as hard as they could and let it do its thing and take him there, and it would go like 200 or 300 miles per hour. And essentially all they did in the show was speed up the video. But simple effects back in the 80s, it's all good, class, great stuff, absolutely fantastic. It's well worth checking out. It's definitely, I've got a real soft spot for Street Hawk. It's definitely one of those forgotten little gems that didn't shine as long as it really deserved to.